Hi, this is Paula, and I'm going to do a tutorial on the spray paint design. This was the inspiration piece, and it came from the Facebook group Sublimation Cove, hosted by Caps on Fire and Cosmo Inc. And so this is what we're going to be working from. On the second page here, I just want to write down the items that we'll be using in this. We'll be using tools, shapes, brushes, styles, layers. And here we have our layer mask and filter effects. And filter effects you could pick up by clicking on your right mouse key. And then I'm going to touch on the palette generator and DigiKits, but this is one of the things that makes this program very special. This is the file I created, Birthday Queen, but since doing this one, I found a way to take some of the steps out. So I'm going to show you a simplified version of this. Now, getting started, I wanted the colors that were used in this image, and I was going to use them again. But one thing I did was I checked my palettes, my pre-pressed palettes that I refer to find the colors that were going to work best with the sublimation inks that I use. So these are the colors. I picked them all out by color number from referencing my chart. And what's neat about this program, here it starts with a basic palette, and then you have the option of adding more. So what I did was I again picked out the colors that match my charts, to match the sample image. Now I'm going to just select all of these images here because I know these colors will work great with my inks. And now that I have them all grouped together, I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to convert it to picture. And once I have a picture selected, there's an option up here that says Generate Palette. So I'm going to click on that. And it's going to change these colors just into a palette that I have on the right hand side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to my DigiKit. And so everything related to this particular design will fall under my DigiKit. So when I hit OK, these colors are here, and I don't have to worry about using the color picker going back and forth to pick it up. What I can also do is take this very image, go to Palette Generator, again select my DigiKit because that's where I want to find my colors, and it's going to add those colors over there too. So now that I have my colors, I'm going to start with a blank page. Next thing you want to do is pick out the font you want to use and the words you want to make into your design. So I'm going to use Reach. That's the word I'm going to use, but I'm not crazy about this font. I like to use Wolfbane Pro 2 a lot. So I'm going to go to my text box and type that in. And after a few key letters, it'll just pick it up. So that's the font I'm going to use. Now, the other special thing about this program, and because it was made for scrapbookers, on the left hand side here we have different headings. And so there's like embellishments, backgrounds, frames, materials, letters, and layouts. Layouts are like templates. But right now for this one, I'm just going to use embellishments. And so now that I've picked out the word that I want to use, I'm just going to drag it into my embellishments. Make sure I pick up my selection tool again. Drag it into my embellishments, and then every time I want to use this, it will be right over here, and it's going to come back out the same size that I had it. But also one good thing is this is still editable, so if I decide I want to change to a different font, I can do it without problem. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to cut it. Now, with this reach, one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change it to a different color, because this is where I'm going to make my background shape. And this is going to be the shape that I'm going to spray paint. And if I change it a different color, you'll understand in a minute. Sorry, let me get my select key. Highlight my text, change my color. Now, once I've changed the color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an outline to this, and I'm going to find that under the effects key. So, right click, filter effects. I'm going here to my outline. And if I move this over and just start sliding, this is a color I've chosen for my outline. You'll see it on real time on the page. But you also have the option to just pull it out to the side, and this will show it to you without anything else on the page being shown. So I think this is a good offset for my spray painting area. I'm going to hit OK here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this over into my embellishments just in case I need to use it again. Now I'm going to turn everything here black. Now that it's all black, I'm going to select it, and under my tools, I'm going to convert it to picture. Okay, converting it to picture flattens everything. Now, this is how it was when I originally did it, and this is how it is converted to picture. And the reason why I did that, I'll show you in the next step. Because after we have this, we're going to go into our stencils portion. Okay. Again, this is under my DigiKit. And under stencils, this program comes preloaded with a lot of different items that you could use. Borders, frames, objects, people. Just a whole lot of different stencils that you can use. But I'm going to stick in my DigiKit. And if I just pull this over into stencils and pull it back out, it's just going to have the word reach. And that's not what I want. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to get rid of this again.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
Thank you, Alexa. Okay, now that I have this,
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
now that I have this flattened, I can pull it over until stencils. And once I pull it back out, you'll see I have that complete shape. Now with this, I'm going to pull it back over into my embellishments so when I need to use it again. Now with the stencil in place, I'm going to take my reach. I'm going to pull it over here and make sure that it works at the right size within my stencil. So again, I don't need that, so I'm going to cut that for now. This I saved in my embellishment tab, so I'll cut that until I need it again. Now, once I have my stencil in place, to do the spray paint effect, we're going to use brushes. And there are several different brushes in the program, but I chose to use airbrushes. And I found that airbrush number 4 is the one that worked the best for the project. So once I have my brush selected here, you want to go up to your top toolbar and select it there as well. You have different options like the width, opacity, flow, smoothness. And if you go to your color tab, this is where you could pick your colors as well. And brushes are always the line, so they're strokes. So this is where you want to have your color selected. So in the sample piece, we started out with the blue, and I'm going to make my brush wider. And then you just want to start with one even stroke. If you like the color, that's fine. If you want more, you could add more. If you don't like what you've done, just hit the undo button. And you can make your brush larger. You can work with the flow, because that's going to determine how much it flows out from like your center point. Your center point won't be as dark the lesser the flow. So I'm just going to undo all of these. Okay, so I have my brush selected. I have the color I want. I undid too much. Let me cut that out of there. Go back to my brush. Pick up my color. And I'm going to increase my flow. I'm good with 100%. And I'm just going to brush over this. And then the next color was green. Then there was yellow, orange, hot pink. Actually, this is the hot pink because these were the colors from my sample. These other ones here are from the image. So this is the hot pink I need to use. And then the purple. I hit select. I'm going to lift my stencil. You don't have to worry about going over, because once you lift the stencil, that's all you're going to be left with. Now, when you select these, you'll see that they're grouped because they're still individual brush strokes that have been grouped. But again, here you want to go to Tools, Convert to Picture. And what that's going to do, again, it's going to flatten it all to one item. Now I have this that I had before. This was the shape I saved. And I'm just going to resize this so that it fits the spray painted portion. I'm just going to send it to the back just to make sure. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now with this one, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to using HSL, which is hue, saturation, and luminosity, I believe. And now I'm going to change it to white. And I'm going to put this one over here too. On the white one, I'm going to add a line to it So I have the color selected for my line here. I'm going to my line, and this one is transparent line, so I'm going to add that line, and then I'm going to add it, thicken it to the weight that I feel I like for this. So I'm going to go about here. Now I'm going to take this one. I want this one in the back. I'm going to okay, well, I already have them in different spots. Okay, so this one's already in the back. And what I'm going to do with this one, which is the paint line, bringing it to the front, I'm going to hit the right key for filter effects again, and I'm going to feather the edges. And again, you can feather it to the amount you like, but this is just going to give that little white border between the black and the design. Okay, I'm good with that. Then the last thing I want to do is add that glow around it. So I'm going to take this one. I'm just going to copy it. And I'm going to hit my filter effects again. Add an outer glow. This time I'm going to select my color. Now I could go right here and pick a color from the wheel, but because I want to use the colors that I know work with my printer, I'm going to go to more colors, go with the color picker, I should have moved it around though because I can't reach it. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to slide this over and pull up my color wheel. Okay, now I'm going to hit the filter effects. Wrong one selected. Okay. Filter effects. Outer glow. Color. More colors. Now I can go to my color palette, pick out the correct color that I want. Okay. And then I'm going to blur it. And then I'm going to increase the intensity of it. So this way it still has that kind of soft painted edge to it. Okay. And now I'm going to go back and stack these all up. Sending this one to the back. Align everything up. Come back over here, pull my font back in. Size it. And now I can add some features to this too. So under styles, I'm going to add a bevel to this. And there are preset styles in the program as well. And I'm just going to, first I'm going to zoom in so you can see. I'm going to add an inner bevel. Or I can do an emboss. A pillow emboss. And I think I'm just going to stay with that one. Come back down. Okay, I'm going to group these, even though it's really not necessary, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to pull them over here again so I have it whenever I want to. I'm going to resize this. Now the image also had these little stars that went around. For that, we're going to use shapes. I'm going to use my 5-point star. I don't want an outline on it. I just want a solid color. So I'm going to use that blue. But here I have options for how many points, minor radius, inner radius, twist. So I want a 4-point. So I'm just going to drop that down to 4. And you could play with these keys. They'll give you different effects. I use the greater inner radius. And under styles, I also wanted to add a blur to it. So I'm going to use one of the Gaussian blurs. There's different levels of the blur. These, again, are just presets. Now, you could also change this by going into filter effects if you want it more or less blur. I'm going to use the second one. And I'm going to select this again. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then there's a key called stamp mode. I'm going to select stamp mode. And this gives me the ability just to keep just placing items wherever I wish. And then I can go over here and pick another color. I can make this smaller. And if I want to do the circles as well, I can go to select, go to the circle, add that same effect to it, select, stamp mode, and now I have the little faded circles that I could place on here. And if I want to make them smaller, and once you're familiar with the program, I mean, it goes very, very quickly. And also, if I want to make this shirt again, if I go to select, let me get off of this and just hit select one more time. I could take these little stars and I'll pull them over here. That was the circle. Here's the star. And I'll just pull it over here. Then, again, if I want to use it later, I can. I don't care about these little ones that I have in here. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of these two. And I'm going to take everything here and I'm going to group it together. Now, for the background, I'm going to add a page. So all I have to do is hit Insert Page. I have a new blank page, and this is where I'm going to make the wall at. So for the wall, I'm going to go to shapes, add a square. I prefer this to be black. And then I'm just going to hit copy and paste. I think I added about 5 of them there. Select. Yeah, there's about 5. I'm going to grab all of these, and I'm going to go to align, and I want to have them spaced. And then I decide the amount of space that I want between them. And then I'm going to align them to the top and group them. I'm going to pull them in, and I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to add a second layer. I'm going to take all of these and group them. Then I'm just going to copy and paste a couple of times. I can do the same thing, align them down. And this is actually more rows than I need. I'm just going to cut that one. Now this is my brick wall. I'm going to select them all, have them grouped. Now I'm going to use the stencil again, like we did with the shape of the name. I'm going to pull it over to stencil, pull it in, and I might want to use this wall again, so I'm going to pull it over here to my embellishments. And now I can just get rid of this. Now that I have the stencil, I'm going to resize it. Make it large enough to cover my page, most of it. Zoom out here so I can see. Okay, now that I have the area that I want covered, I'm going to go to my brushes. I'm going to use my airbrushes again. This time I used a more coarse brush. And again, select your brush up here. Make sure that it changes. Select your color. It was kind of a grayish. And then you can add detail to your wall like that. I don't like any of that. I'm going to undo it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my airbrush 5, which is a little lighter than my airbrush 4. Select my brush here. I'm going to make my brush a little larger. And that is not airbrush 5. Undo. Okay. This is the right brush that I wanted. And now I'm just going to paint on my wall. And then if I want it darker in some places, I'll just go in with the brush some more. And then now with airbrush, the coarse spray brush, I'm going to pick up some color, and then this is how I added some of the splashes to it. And I'm going to undo that because I'm not crazy about it. I'm probably going to reduce my opacity. Make my brush a little smaller. Don't like that one either, so okay, I'm going to stick with a larger brush. Nope. Okay, staying a little further away from it. That's going to give me some of the color that I wanted. Okay, now that I like that, I'm going to lift my stencil. I'm going to select all again. I'm going to make sure it's all grouped. And I'm going to pull it over here to my embellishments tab. Now, coming back to the reach that we have on here, I'm going to pull in my background, enlarge it a little, send it to the back. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add a mask layer. And to do that, I go over to my layers. I hit add mask. Now your mask layer is only going to make a difference to the layer that's directly below it. And I'm going to pick up another brush. I'm going to use a grunge brush. Make sure my line color is selected. I'm just going to use black. And my brush is selected. And now I'm just going to... This is not that brush. Okay, now I have the right brush. But I'm just going to start painting over that. It really doesn't matter what color my brush is. Because it's going to block out the color. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I have some more control over it. And that's it. And going back to my layer 1, and I'm just going to ungroup these. But that's pretty much it. I would take this and I would export it as a picture if I was sending it out to someone else or to share. But what I want to also show you that's special about the program is if I go under Tools and I go into DigiKit Creator, all of these items that I created, especially just the wall, the second wall, the stars and stuff, they are here. So if ever I want to use this again, as long as I save the DigiKit, they'll be there. The colors that I used, swatches, all my colors are here. And if I created special brushes or layouts, everything would be right here for me. I'm going to go into File, Print Preview. And there it is. Now there's some graininess to this, and that's only because of me locking it all together when I was doing the design.